In the golden light of a Florida morning, Gabby Petito and Laundrie were making final preparations for a journey that would take them across the vast and varied landscape of the United States. Their van, a modest but well-equipped Ford Transit, stood ready, packed with essentials for their road trip. Gabby, 22, with her bright smile and adventurous spirit, was eager to explore the country's national parks and remote wildernesses. Brian, her fiancé, shared her enthusiasm, envisioning a life on the road filled with discovery and freedom. As they said their goodbyes, there was a sense of excitement in the air, tinged with the bittersweet emotions of leaving family and the familiar behind. Gabby's family watched with a mix of pride and apprehension as the couple embarked on their adventure, their van becoming a tiny speck on the horizon. The journey began with a sense of boundless possibility. Gabby and Brian traveled through scenic routes, their days marked by the ever-changing landscapes outside their van windows. They wandered through the moss-draped forests of the southeast, marveled at the grandeur of the Rocky Mountains, and experienced the serene beauty of the desert under starlit skies. With each new destination, Gabby documented their experiences on social media, her posts a tapestry of stunning vistas, candid moments, and the joys of a life untethered. Their followers watched and envied, drawn into the couple's world through the lens of Instagram and YouTube. Gabby's vibrant posts, filled with laughter and love, painted a picture of an idyllic journey, a modern-day odyssey across a land of endless possibilities. But as they journeyed further, the initial radiance of their adventure began to dim. The challenges of life on the road emerged, testing their resilience and their relationship. The confines of the van, their constant companion and home, felt increasingly smaller. Moments of tension surfaced, hinting at the complexities beneath the curated images of social media. Despite these challenges, Gabby's spirit remained undimmed. She continued to share their story with the world, her posts a mix of honesty and optimism. Her connection with her family remained a constant, her calls home a lifeline anchoring her to a sense of normalcy. As the summer waned, Gabby and Brian found themselves in the rugged beauty of Wyoming's national parks. Unbeknownst to them, the next chapter of their journey would take a turn into the unknown, setting in motion a series of events that would captivate and horrify the nation. But for now, in the midst of Wyoming's wild landscapes, Gabby Petito lived her dream, her laughter echoing in the vast, open spaces. The journey of Gabby Petito and Laundrie continued into the heart of the American West, a region of awe-inspiring beauty and unforgiving wilderness. They traversed the winding roads of Wyoming, each bend revealing yet another breathtaking vista. The towering peaks of the Grand Tetons served as a majestic backdrop to their adventure, a symbol of the grandeur and scale of their journey. As they ventured deeper into the wilderness, the dynamics of their relationship began to subtly shift. The endless hours on the road, the close quarters of their van, and the inherent unpredictability of their nomadic lifestyle began to take a toll. The small frictions of daily life, easily dismissed in a more conventional setting, were magnified in the confines of their mobile home. Gabby, ever the optimist, tried to navigate these growing tensions with grace and understanding. Her social media posts, still filled with stunning landscapes and smiling selfies, hinted at an undercurrent of strain. The carefree laughter that once flowed so easily seemed forced at times, and the light in her eyes dimmed ever so slightly. Meanwhile, Brian's demeanor began to change. The freedom of the road, which once seemed to invigorate him, now appeared to weigh on him. He became more withdrawn, his moments of introspection growing longer and more frequent. The once easy banter between the couple gave way to long silences, filled with unspoken thoughts and emotions. Despite these challenges, Gabby remained committed to their dream. She poured her energy into her blog and social media, chronicling their experiences with a mix of honesty and artistry. Her posts were a lifeline to her family and friends, a way to share her adventures and assure them of her well-being. The couple's journey took them to Yellowstone National Park, a land of geothermal wonders and wild beauty. Here, Amidst the steaming geysers and roaming bison, the tensions between Gabby and Brian reached a new peak. A heated argument, sparked by a small misunderstanding, escalated quickly. It was a startling moment, a crack in the facade of their idyllic adventure. Gabby reached out to her family with increasing frequency, seeking comfort and a sense of normalcy. Her conversations with her mother were filled with laughter and love, but also hints of uncertainty. She reassured her family that all was well, but her voice sometimes betrayed a note of doubt. As the summer drew to a close, the couple's journey seemed to hang in the balance. The vast landscapes that once symbolized freedom and adventure now echoed with the growing unease between them. In the wild heart of Yellowstone, beneath the expansive western sky, Gabby and Brian stood at a crossroads, unaware of the tragic path that lay ahead. The vast expanse of the American West, with its untamed beauty and remote wilderness, became the backdrop for a sudden and unsettling turn in Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie's journey. As August 2021 unfurled its final days, Gabby's once frequent and lively communication with her family abruptly ceased. This sudden silence sent ripples of concern through her loved ones, a stark contrast to the regular updates that had peppered her journey so far. Gabby's last known contact was in late August, from the rugged and picturesque area around Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. She had spoken to her mother, sharing plans and stories, her voice a familiar comfort. But after this call, there was nothing but an uncharacteristic and disquieting void. As days passed without word from Gabby, worry turned to alarm. Her family, accustomed to her regular check-ins and vibrant social media presence, felt a growing sense of dread. The lack of communication was out of character for Gabby, who had always made an effort to stay connected, regardless of where her travels took her. Meanwhile, Brian Laundrie returned to his home in Northport, Florida, without Gabby. His arrival in the modified white Ford Transit van, which had been their home on wheels, raised immediate questions. The van, once a symbol of their shared adventure, now stood as a silent and solitary reminder of Gabby's absence. Gabby's family, desperate for answers, reached out to Brian and his family. Their pleas for information were met with silence, a wall of non-communication that only deepened the mystery and heightened the fear for Gabby's safety. The lack of cooperation from Brian and his immediate retreat from public view added layers of suspicion and urgency to the situation. The Petitto family, driven by a mix of fear and determination, reported Gabby missing to the Suffolk County Police Department in New York on September 11, 2021. The news of her disappearance quickly captured the nation's attention, with people across the country becoming invested in the search for Gabby. Social media, once a platform for sharing her travel experiences, now became a tool in the desperate effort to find her. Law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, joined the search, launching an extensive investigation that spanned multiple states. The search efforts focused on the areas Gabby was last known to be, particularly the vast and challenging terrain of the Teton National Forest in Wyoming. As the search intensified, the public's fascination with the case grew. Gabby's story, her disappearance, and the mysterious circumstances surrounding it became the subject of national news, social media speculation, and community-led search efforts. The country watched, waited, and hoped for any sign of Gabby, as her smiling face, so full of life and adventure, looked out from posters and screens across the nation. In these tense and uncertain days, the van life dream that Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie had embarked on transformed into a harrowing mystery, with Gabby's whereabouts and well-being hanging in the balance. As the search for Gabby Petito intensified, the public's attention shifted to Brian Laundrie, the man who had embarked on this journey with her but returned alone. His silence and refusal to cooperate with law enforcement only fueled speculation and concern. Brian, once seen as Gabby's loving partner in adventure, was now a person of interest in a case that was rapidly turning into every family's worst nightmare. In Northport, Florida, the home of Brian Laundrie became the center of a media storm. Reporters, cameras, and concerned citizens gathered outside, seeking any information that might shed light on Gabby's whereabouts. The Laundrie family's refusal to speak to the media or engage with Gabby's family only deepened the mystery and frustration. Meanwhile, the van that had been the couple's companion on their cross-country trek became a key piece of evidence. Law enforcement agents meticulously combed through the vehicle, searching for clues that might lead them to Gabby. Every inch of the van was scrutinized, with the hope that it held the answers to the many questions surrounding her sudden disappearance. Back in Wyoming, the area around Grand Teton National Park was scored by search teams. The rugged and expansive terrain posed significant challenges, with vast forests, steep mountain ranges, and remote areas that were difficult to access. The search teams, consisting of local authorities, FBI agents, and volunteers, worked tirelessly, knowing that every moment was critical. Gabby's family, in a state of anguish and desperation, made public appeals for information. They reached out to the media, shared Gabby's story, and implored anyone with information to come forward. Their heartfelt pleas were echoed by people across the country who had become emotionally invested in the search for Gabby. Social media platforms, once a space for sharing travel stories and adventure snapshots, turned into a hub of activity related to the case. People from all walks of life followed the updates, shared information, and offered theories about what might have happened. The hashtag #FindGabby Petito became a rallying cry for those following the case, reflecting the collective hope for her safe return. As days passed, the pressure on Brian Laundrie to provide information increased. The public scrutiny of his actions and behavior intensified, with many questioning his motives and role in Gabby's disappearance. The lack of transparency and communication from Brian and his family only added to the growing suspicion and unease surrounding the case. In this atmosphere of heightened tension and widespread concern, the search for Gabby Petito continued, a race against time to uncover the truth behind her mysterious disappearance. The nation watched, waited, and hoped for a breakthrough, as Gabby's smiling face, captured in her travel photos, served as a poignant reminder of the vibrant young woman at the heart of this unfolding tragedy. In the vast, wild expanse of Wyoming, the search for Gabby Petito became a mission of urgency and desperation. The rugged, sprawling landscapes of the Teton National Forest, once a place of awe and beauty for Gabby and Brian, now echoed with the sounds of search teams and helicopters. The forest, with its dense foliage, steep terrain, and hidden valleys, presented a formidable challenge to the search efforts. As the days passed, the search for Gabby grew in scale and intensity. Law enforcement agencies, led by the FBI, coordinated extensive ground searches, employing teams of experts trained in navigating and surviving the harsh wilderness. Drones buzzed overhead, scanning the terrain, while sniffer dogs traversed the undergrowth, each sniff a potential key to unlocking the mystery of Gabby's whereabouts. Back in Florida, the media and public scrutiny of Brian Laundrie and his family reached new heights. Reporters camped outside the Laundrie residence, capturing every movement, every visitor, every delivery, anything that might offer a clue or lead. The nation's eyes were fixed on this quiet neighborhood, transformed into the epicenter of a story that captivated and disturbed in equal measure. Social media continued to play a pivotal role in the search. Gabby's story, amplified by the power of the internet, spread far and wide. Strangers from across the country and around the world joined the effort, sharing information, offering support, and holding on to hope. Digital detectives pored over Gabby and Brian's online posts, analyzing and speculating, searching for hidden meanings or overlooked clues. As part of the investigation, law enforcement interviewed people who had encountered the couple during their travels. Each account added pieces to the puzzle, constructing a timeline that was both enlightening and troubling. Reports of an altercation in Utah, a 911 call, and police bodycam footage painted a picture of a relationship that was not as idyllic as it appeared on social media. Gabby's family, enduring an unimaginable ordeal, remained at the forefront of the search. Their faces, etched with grief and determination, became familiar to millions who followed the case. They held press conferences, issued statements, and did everything within their power to keep the search for Gabby in the public eye. The involvement of the FBI brought additional resources and expertise to the investigation. They conducted forensic analyses, gathered digital evidence, and worked tirelessly to piece together Gabby's last known movements. Every lead was followed, every tip considered, in the relentless pursuit of answers. In this climate of heightened tension and relentless searching, a grim reality began to settle in. The longer Gabby remained missing, the more the hope for a happy outcome dimmed. Yet the resolve of the search teams, law enforcement, and Gabby's family and supporters never wavered. They continued their tireless efforts, driven by the singular goal of finding Gabby and uncovering the truth behind her disappearance. On September 19, 2021, the relentless search for Gabby Petito in the vast wilderness of Wyoming led to a heart-wrenching discovery. In a remote area of the Teton National Forest, near the Spread Creek dispersed camping area, searchers found human remains. The location, surrounded by the rugged natural beauty that Gabby had so loved, became a somber and hallowed ground. The news of the discovery spread rapidly, a wave of sorrow washing over all who had followed Gabby's story. The nation, which had held onto a thread of hope amidst the growing fear, now faced the grim reality of loss. Gabby's family, who had tirelessly sought her return, was confronted with the most devastating outcome. The FBI, leading the investigation, moved swiftly to secure the area. Forensic teams arrived, tasked with the delicate and solemn work of gathering evidence. The site of the discovery, once a place of freedom and adventure for travelers, was transformed into a scene of meticulous investigation, every detail scrutinized for clues. As the news broke, the media and public attention intensified. The country mourned the tragic turn of events, and Gabby's story became a symbol of a deeper national pain. Her bright, adventurous spirit, captured in her social media posts and remembered by her loved ones, stood in stark contrast to the tragedy that had unfolded. In the days that followed, the Teton County Coroner's Office worked to confirm the identity of the remains. The process, carried out with care and respect, brought a painful confirmation. The remains were indeed those of Gabby Petito. The coroner later determined that the cause of death was strangulation, and the manner of death was ruled a homicide. The confirmation of Gabby's death sent ripples of grief and outrage across the country. Vigils were held in her honor, and tributes poured in from around the world. People who had never met Gabby felt a deep connection to her story, moved by the tragedy of a young life cut short. The focus of the investigation shifted to understanding the circumstances surrounding Gabby's death. Questions swirled about the timeline of her final days, the nature of her relationship with Laundrie, and what may have transpired in the remote area where her body was found. For Gabby's family, the discovery brought a tragic closure to their search, but also the beginning of a quest for justice. They sought answers and accountability, determined to ensure that Gabby's life and story would not be forgotten. As the nation grappled with the loss of Gabby Petito, her story became a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring impact one person can have on the hearts and minds of many. Her journey, which began as a dream of adventure and discovery, had become a narrative of love, loss, and the relentless pursuit of truth. In the aftermath of the tragic discovery of Gabby Petito's remains, attention turned with renewed urgency to Laundrie, Gabby's fiancé, and the person of interest in her disappearance. Brian's actions following his return to Florida without Gabby, and his subsequent disappearance, became central to the unfolding drama and investigation. As the nation reeled from the confirmation of Gabby's death, the manhunt for Laundrie intensified. He had returned to his parents' home in Northport, Florida, on September 1, 2021. In the van the couple had traveled in, sparking immediate questions about Gabby's whereabouts. However, by the time Gabby was reported missing, Brian had vanished, leaving behind a trail of mystery and speculation. The Laundrie family's home became the focus of intense scrutiny. Law enforcement, media, and the public sought any clues that might reveal Brian's location or his actions in the days following his return. The FBI executed a search warrant at the Laundrie residence, combing through the property for evidence, while the surrounding area was scored for signs of Brian. The search for Brian Laundrie spanned multiple states and involved numerous law enforcement agencies. Tips and sightings poured in from across the country, each one followed up in the hope of finding him. The vast Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County, Florida, became a major focus of the search. This sprawling, swampy wilderness, filled with dense vegetation and challenging terrain, was an area familiar to Brian, adding complexity to the search efforts. The public's fascination with the case reached new heights. People closely followed the manhunt, dissecting every piece of information and theory shared on social media and news outlets. The mystery of Brian's disappearance added a perplexing layer to an already tragic story. As days turned into weeks, the search for Brian Laundrie continued with no definitive sightings or leads. Theories about his whereabouts and his role in Gabby's death proliferated. Some speculated that he might have met with an accident in the wilderness, while others believed he was on the run, possibly aided by others. Gabby's family, amidst their grief, awaited answers. They called for Brian to turn himself in and provide information about what happened to Gabby. Their pleas echoed across a nation equally desperate for closure and justice. In October 2021, a breakthrough came. Human remains, along with personal items belonging to Brian Laundrie, including a notebook and a backpack, were found in the Maxahachie Creek Environmental Park, part of the Carlton Reserve. The discovery brought a grim end to the manhunt, with the remains later confirmed to be those of Brian Laundrie. The notebook found near Brian's remains became a subject of intense interest. It was hoped that this personal item might contain answers to the many questions surrounding the tragic events, possibly even Brian's account of what transpired during the final days of Gabby's life. The story of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, which began as a romantic adventure across America, had taken a dark and tragic turn. As the nation grappled with the reality of both their deaths, the search for understanding and closure continued. Gabby's family, supported by a community that had come to know and care for her through her story, remained steadfast in their desire for truth and justice in the wake of unimaginable loss. In the heart of the Maxahachie Creek Environmental Park, a somber discovery brought a new twist to the tragic saga of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Among the items found near Brian's remains was a notebook, weathered by the elements, but potentially holding crucial insights into the unanswered questions that had captivated the nation. The discovery of the notebook sparked a surge of speculation and anticipation. Could this notebook contain Brian's account of the events leading up to Gabby's death? The FBI took possession of the notebook, acknowledging its potential significance in piecing together the final chapter of this heartbreaking story. As forensic experts worked to salvage and analyze the contents of the notebook, the public and media speculated about its contents. The possibility that Brian may have written a confession or provided an explanation for his actions was a source of intense interest and debate. Meanwhile, the confirmation of Brian's death by suicide, as determined by the medical examiner, added another layer of complexity to the already convoluted case. The loss of the only person who could provide first-hand accounts of what transpired in the final days of Gabby's life was a significant blow to the investigation and to Gabby's family's quest for answers. Eventually, details from the notebook began to emerge. In a statement that would send shockwaves across the country, the FBI revealed that Brian had claimed responsibility for Gabby's death in the writings recovered from the notebook. This admission, written in the last moments of Brian's life, provided a tragic confirmation of what many had suspected. The revelation from Brian's notebook offered a grim resolution to the question of who was responsible for Gabby's death, yet it left many questions unanswered. The motives, the circumstances, and the full sequence of events that led to the tragedy remained shrouded in mystery. For Gabby's family, the contents of the notebook were a cold comfort. While it provided a form of closure, It also underscored the senseless loss of Gabby's life and the depth of the tragedy that had unfolded. The revelation from the notebook did little to ease the grief and pain of a family robbed of their daughter. The story of Gabby Petito, which had begun as a journey of discovery and adventure, had concluded in a way that no one could have anticipated. The notebook, a final message from Brian Laundrie, closed a chapter in this saga, but the broader narrative of Gabby's life and legacy continued to unfold. In the wake of these revelations, the public, who had followed Gabby's story with empathy and concern, reflected on the lessons and implications of this tragedy. Discussions about domestic violence, mental health, and the challenges faced by young travelers took on new significance. Gabby's story, though marked by tragedy, sparked important conversations and a call for greater awareness and change. As the world grappled with the outcomes revealed by the notebook, the memory of Gabby Petito lived on, her spirit and story leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of those who had followed her journey. The tragic story of Gabby Petito, culminating in the grim revelations from Brian Laundrie's notebook, reverberated across the United States, sparking a period of national reflection and reckoning. Gabby's case, which had captivated millions, shone a light on broader societal issues and ignited discussions on various fronts. Media coverage and social media's role. The intense media attention Gabby's case received led to critical discussions about the role of media in missing persons cases. The phenomenon known as missing white woman syndrome, where media disproportionately covers cases involving young, white, attractive women, was scrutinized. Contrastingly, cases involving people of color, men, or individuals from less privileged backgrounds often receive less attention, prompting calls for more equitable media coverage. Domestic violence awareness. The bodycam footage of Gabby and Brian, recorded by the Moab Police Department weeks before her death, highlighted the complexities of recognizing and responding to domestic violence. The footage and subsequent events brought attention to the signs of relationship abuse and the importance of early intervention. Advocacy groups and experts used the opportunity to educate the public on domestic violence, emphasizing the need for better resources and support for victims. The power of community and crowdsourcing. Gabby's case also demonstrated the power of community involvement and the impact of digital crowdsourcing in missing persons investigations. The public played a crucial role in providing tips, sharing information, and even analyzing online content related to Gabby and Brian's travels. This collective effort highlighted the potential of community engagement in aiding law enforcement investigations. Mental health discussion. The circumstances surrounding both Gabby's death and Brian's final actions prompted a conversation about mental health, particularly among young adults. The importance of mental health support, the stigma surrounding mental illness, and the challenges faced by those struggling with mental health issues were brought to the forefront. The legacy of Gabby Petito. Amidst the grief and turmoil, Gabby's family sought to create a lasting legacy in her honor. They established the Gabby Petito Foundation, aimed at providing resources and support to families of missing persons and bringing attention to other missing persons cases. The foundation sought to turn their personal tragedy into a force for good, ensuring that Gabby's spirit and the lessons learned from her story would continue to make a positive impact. As the nation grappled with the lessons of Gabby's story, her life and tragic end remained a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the ripple effects one individual's story can have on society. The conversations and actions sparked by her case reflected a collective desire for change and a better understanding of the complex issues that had come to the fore in the wake of her disappearance and death. In the aftermath of the heart-wrenching events surrounding Gabby Petito's life and death, a period of reflection and action unfolded, marked by a determined effort to forge a meaningful legacy out of tragedy. A movement for change. Gabby's story catalyzed a movement advocating for greater awareness and improved responses to cases involving missing persons and domestic violence. Activists, lawmakers, and concerned citizens called for changes in law enforcement practices and media reporting to ensure that all missing persons cases receive adequate attention and resources, regardless of the victim's race, gender, or background. Amplifying voices. Gabby's case brought unprecedented attention to other missing persons cases, particularly those involving individuals from marginalized or underrepresented communities. The public's engagement in Gabby's story was harnessed to shine a light on these often overlooked cases, leading to renewed interest and efforts to find missing persons across the country. The Gabby Petito Foundation. Gabby's family, in their quest to honor her memory, established the Gabby Petito Foundation. The foundation's mission is to provide resources and support to families of missing persons while also focusing on the prevention of domestic violence. Through fundraising, awareness campaigns, and partnerships with other organizations, the foundation works to keep Gabby's spirit alive and make a tangible impact in the community. Educational initiatives. Educational programs and campaigns aimed at young adults, particularly those planning to travel or live nomadically, were initiated to teach them about safe travel practices, relationship health, and self-awareness in potentially dangerous situations. These initiatives emphasize the importance of recognizing early warning signs of domestic abuse and knowing where to seek help. A cultural shift. The widespread public response to Gabby's story reflected a cultural shift in the way society addresses and talks about issues such as domestic violence and missing persons. Conversations that were once limited or taboo were brought into the open, fostering a more informed and empathetic public discourse. Continuing the conversation, documentaries, articles, and books delving into Gabby's story and its broader implications kept the conversation alive, ensuring that the lessons learned from her experience continue to resonate and inspire action. Gabby's enduring legacy. While the story of Gabby Petito ended in tragedy, her legacy endures as a catalyst for change. Her life, full of adventure, love, and dreams, and her untimely death, serve as reminders of the preciousness of life and the importance of cherishing and protecting it. As the final chapter of Gabby Petito's story is written, it is marked not by the end of her influence, but by the enduring impact of her life. Her legacy lives on in the continued efforts to protect, educate, and remember, ensuring that her spirit continues to inspire and drive positive change in the world.